Welcome to the Surviving to Thriving podcast that helps women leaders in nonprofits get out of survival mode and thrive in both leadership and life. I'm your host, leadership development coach Kathy Archer, and I help women leaders enjoy impactful leadership. Have you ever thought about how you serve others? Have you ever thought about other people perhaps down the road paying respect to the work you've done in the sector? If you are listening to this podcast on the day it comes out, it is Remembrance Day in Canada. And we are paying our respects to those who have served our country and protected us. And at that thought, I've really been thinking a lot about what you do to serve the people that you work with. And I think sometimes we forget to sort of turn inward and look back at who we are, what we do, why we do it, and how we got to where we do it. So I'm going to give you 3 questions today to help you start looking at remembering the service you do to the people you serve. So I want you to think about service for a moment. Service is the work you do every day, and we often think of the work we do every day as the tasks we do and the meetings we have to attend and the emails we have to return. But all of that is for a reason. And that reason is the reason you do the work you do. It is your purpose, your passion. Some of you have a mission statement for the work you do. It is the reason you do the work. It's the reason you get up every morning, go to work, and do the work you do. It's because there's something inside of you that wants to make a difference in the population you serve. And if that's not true, then it's probably a big reason why you're not happy with your job these days or not happy with life these days. When you start to really connect to that purpose, that passion, that mission, that vision that you have for changing the world, changing the circumstances for the community you serve, changing something for the sort of population or the cause that you are fighting for, then you have a reason to get up every morning. Then you have a reason to get through some of those challenging days. And so it's really important to start there. What's my purpose? What's my mission? Why do I do this work I do? So start to connect to that passion. For me, I got into this work initially because I was, looking to change the world for youth and families. And honestly, that hasn't changed. The work I do evolved, it grew, it developed. I grew, I developed, but I'm still here supporting you as a leader because I want to make the work you do blossom and grow and change the world. But I also want your family to benefit from your growth and development as well, because you'll be a better person if you get out of survival mode, which I'm always talking about, and move to thriving in both leadership and life. I know that I'm making a difference in nonprofits around the world, but also in your life and in the way you lead your life. And to me, that's the reason I get up every morning. That's the reason I do these podcasts. That's the reason I coach and write blogs and create courses and all of this kind of stuff, because I still want to make a difference for families and children. And so that's why I do this work. Now, if we start to look at the remembering who we serve and how we've served them, again, I want to look at 3 questions to help us really start to, inside ourselves, go, hey, I'm here and I've done something pretty amazing, even if I don't get the recognition from the world all of the time that perhaps I might sometimes appreciate or wish for. I can still acknowledge where I've come and the work I've done. So these 3 questions. The first one is, what have I been through? So I want you to think about that for a moment. I want you to look back to sort of the beginning of your career or education and go, what have I been through? When I started with a child and youth care diploma. When I was in college, I had just got married. I was 18. I just got married, moved out of home. Things weren't quite so pretty and rosy with my family. And I was we were living on less than minimum or less than probably poverty level at the time. And I was trying to get through school, and I had challenges where our vehicle broke down and I had to bum rides with people and things like that. So you start to look back, okay, so I made it through college. And then we traveled 1,000 kilometers for my first job and a big move. So we moved to a community without family. When I started my first job there was a group home that I was working with adolescents. I had just turned 19, right? 19. No, sorry, I had just turned 20. I was working with kids who were 17 and not happy, and I was like the youngest one on the team. I was meeting social workers from child protection that felt so much older and more knowledgeable and more experienced than me. And yet, when I look back, some of those social workers became my best friends in the work we were doing, and we collaborated and connected and did some amazing work together. But in the beginning, I felt very much like the baby. In fact, I was the baby on the team. Over time, when I look at, what have I been through? I look at some of the challenges that I faced in leadership. When I first moved into leadership, people weren't very happy. The things were in turmoil in the organization, and I ended up struggling with depression and on antidepressants and thinking I was going to quit my job. Got through that. Had some pretty big expansions in our program, which created its own challenges. Got through that. I ended up after some of those things were things once again, and this is sort of the ebb and flow of organizations. This is the ebb and flow of your growth and development. I had staff file a grievance against me, got through that. Like there was lots of things that happened, and I look at, what have I done to get where I am? So that's the first question I want you to ask is, what have I been through? I want you to go back and look at all of the challenges and stuff that you've been through. And then the second question I want you to ask is, how have I grown? So you go back and you look at, okay, I went through this, and this, and I know you've got stories as well. How have you grown as a result? Well, I know that I've matured and I've aged, but I've also grown in that I went back to school and got my management degree. I took tons of courses. I grew in learning emotional intelligence. I grew in learning social intelligence, sort of understanding what was going on. I developed the strengths around teamwork and being able to grow and develop other people. And so I grew all of that. I also grew myself in a way that started to become a healthier version of myself. When I first was in leadership positions, I was overweight, I was smoking, and as I said, I was struggling with depression. So I had to get through all of that and grow that. I found work-life balance ebbed and flowed over time, but it was something I kept fighting for and kept coming back to. I grew in that I started to understand my values. And as we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, my purpose and mission. Why do I do this work? Why is it so important for me to get through these challenges? So, what have I been through? How have I grown? And then the third question to ask yourself is, and what lessons have I learned? So, one of the biggest lessons when I think about all of the stuff I've been through and all of the challenges that I've had is, don't take things so personally. When I look at the stuff that's been going on with other people throughout my career, when I look at the biggest challenges I've had, there was a lot more going on than just me. And there was a lot going on in those other people. There was a lot going on in our organization, in the sector, in the world. And yes, I played a role. And yes, I needed to do some things to change, but it was not all about me. And when I sort of took the focus off me and started to look at what's the bigger picture, then I was able to work my way through it. So that was one of the lessons I learned. One of the other lessons I learned was that to be my best self, I need to take care of myself. I burnt out. Like I say, was depressed. I struggled with lots of health stuff over the years. And when I was not at my best, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, I was not at my best as a leader either. And when I focus on developing those wellness strategies within me, which is what I'm teaching in the training library now, the Wellness at Work course is all about the stuff I've learned over time. If I want to be my best self for you, for the work I do for you, I need to take care of myself. And that's not just something that I throw in when I can find time. I must, absolutely must, put self-care a priority throughout my day, throughout my work day, so that I can be my best for you. And that's what I'm teaching in the Wellness at Work course in the training library, because that's one of the huge lessons I've learned. If you're going to maintain composure, if you are going to be able to see the bigger picture, if you are going to be able to be a decisive decision maker, if you're going to be visionary, motivating, inspiring, if you're going to be able to coach your staff, all of those things that we're looking for in our leaders, you cannot do that on an empty tank of gas. Doesn't work that way. So that's one of the other lessons I learned. And then one of the final lessons I've learned is, I guess it's again coming back to sort of the sort of where we started with passion and purpose. I love to teach, I love to mentor, and I love to coach and write. And those things, when I allow myself to do that work, I am at my best, and that means you get the best of me. If I try to do other work that I'm not passionate about, I don't enjoy as much, is not sort of, doesn't really fire me up, then it's going to be lackluster. I might get through it and I might do an okay job. But if you really want me to be amazing, then I need to make sure that I'm focused on my strengths and my passions. So that's what I want you to do, is I want you to look at what are my strengths, what are my gifts, what are my talents, what are the things I'm really good at, and see how you can focus in there as well, because that's something that I've learned over time that is incredibly important. So there you have it, the 3 questions. What challenges have I been through? How have I grown? And what have I learned? What are the lessons learned? When you start to take those 3 questions and look back at where you've come over the last 5, 10, 20 years, and you look at who have I served in that time? What's the impact I made as I was growing and developing? And I mean, oh my goodness, I have some clients that still have a very special place in my heart. Some that I'm still connected to, workers that I'm still connected to, people that I've been involved in other organizations that I'm still connected to, because that's the impact I've had over the years. And when I can look back at that and remember that I've grown, I've developed, I've, been through some stuff, but man, I've also made a difference along the way. That recharges me for future work, growth, development challenges. And that's what I want for you. I want you to really think about, where have I come from and how can that help me move forward in the work I'm doing? When you ask yourself those questions, what challenges have I been through? How have I grown? And what are the lessons learned? You will get out of survival mode and you'll move to thriving in both your leadership and life. Go make the rest of your day awesome, my dear. If you found today's episode helpful, then you are going to love the training library. Many women leaders in nonprofits wish that they had a coach or a mentor to help them, but they don't believe that they or their organization can afford it. Oh, but you can. Inside of the Training Library membership site, you will not only get access to affordable and easily accessible ongoing personal and professional development training, you will also have access to a leadership coach at your fingertips. That way, when you hit those inevitable challenges that leadership will bring your way, you'll have both the resources and the support to navigate your way through them with confidence, composure, and while keeping your integrity intact. To find out more, head to kathyarcher.com/library. If you are enjoying the show, I'd love it if you could leave me a comment or a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks for listening. Go make the rest of your day awesome.